Peace. This is Zulu Story, part 4. And we're just going to pick up right where we left off from the other one. So just real quick, in case you didn't tune in to part 3, 2, or 1, definitely go back, check out part 1, check out part 2, check out part 3, and then you can catch up to date right here on part 4. Because this is going to be numerous parts. There's just a lot to the story. And I really don't want to miss nothing because everything is, it's like real important. It all connects. And it just shows you, our story, our path. And it's not just my story. I say it's my story because it's told through my eyes. And I'm sure a lot of brothers could tell this same story. I'm trying to tell it as accurate as possible and respectful as possible to everybody, without also making us look crazy and, just being accurate. I want to do the story justice. So, as I was saying on last part, on part 3, we're on our way to Harlem. We bump into all these blood dudes. And, it's the year 2000. So, if y'all don't know, if you're not familiar with New York City, in the late 90s, this whole blood situation, the Bloods from the West Coast came out to New York, or should I say, New York established themselves with this identity of being a part of the Blood gang. It had really necessarily no connection to the West. But the brother OG Mac, started this out here on Rikers Island, and it wound up spreading like wildfire. And for those that know, a lot of the original Blood members that was out there from various different sets, whether it be 1-8 Trey Blood or Valentine Blood, a lot of these sets of the Bloods had a connection to the Zulu Nation. But I'll get that to you in another story, probably in Street Organization series that I do, right? So, it wasn't really no static or nothing. We went through the hood. We went through the little blood turf. And, they knew we wasn't from around there. I think I told them we was from Long Island. And, you would think that a bunch of dudes running from Long Island, bumping into a bunch of blood dudes from Harlem, you thought we would have had some type of rumble or some type of static or some type of standoff. But it was really nothing. They were all flagged up, almost all of them. They was out there really on the turf repping. And, we had our beads on, red, black, and green beads on. They looked like crazy gang beads at the time. And a lot of blood dudes was also wearing green in their beads, too. So it could have probably been a standoff and been somebody hurt. But, we just kept it moving because, they gave us the pass. And if they didn't give us the pass, then we would have got it in. As simple as that, Thankfully, it wasn't nothing major. We get to Harlem and we start going to the meetings, and I think we caught a lot of attention going up there because people would see that when we rolled up there, we were always in a group. We came up there together. We turned the corner on 125 and 5th and go to the National Black Theater, and it's the 10 young brothers, 18, 19, 20 years old. That was the age range for all of us, and a lot of the brothers that was there, recognize the young brothers like, yo, y'all looking strong. So it was a good feeling to get that, feedback and that recognition. So when you go into the meetings out in Harlem, a lot of times I think we was going to like the 3rd floor. The National Black Theater wasn't as developed as it is now. You go there and it's really like a theater. It got, several different rooms and sections throughout the floor. Back then it was kind of dingy and dirty, and we had to go up the long staircase and go to the meeting, and the meeting was just like an undeveloped room. It was like it wasn't like nice looking, and you would get searched by Shaka Zulu when you come up to the meeting, right? Everybody gets searched. See, the Zulu Nation, they do security for hip hop. That was like always something that Shaka Zulus did, right? And you go up to the meeting and there'd be a long line up the stairs of Zulus trying to get to the meeting. And at the top, there will be maybe 5, sometimes 10 or more brothers that were down with Shaka Zulu. And these brothers or sisters, a lot of times had fatigues on. They were some real thorough looking warriors. Brothers that look like, they tear your heart out your chest and give you a fatality in a heartbeat, that easy. So you go up there, usually it wasn't no love, no greeting, no nothing from them. You go online, they tell you, brothers, take your hats off, take your wallets out, you know what I mean? And, everyone getting searched no matter who you are. The only people that wouldn't get searched was somebody that was a part of Shaka Zulu. So all of us be online. The sisters will be on one side. The sisters will usually, obviously, always get patted down by a sister. And if not, they will have their purse and their belongings checked. And have to just twirl around, But for the most part, they always had the sisters up there to search the Malikas also. So every Zulu brother, every Zulu Aki would go up to the Shaka, put his arms up, and you would get searched, a thorough search. That not only did it render you impossible to bring any type of weaponry to the meeting, but also any recording devices, any types of foolishness that you may be sneaking in there to disrupt the meeting, because you don't know, who anyone is coming up to the meeting. So you have to really protect the brothers and sisters in the meeting. And on top of that, sometimes there's celebrities at the meeting, rap stars and stuff like that. So, you want to have everybody safe. But, the security was for everybody, and if there was somebody to cause disruption in the meeting, there would have been a big problem with the Shaka Zulus, and you would have got hauled out of there real fast. So, after you go up and you get searched, a lot of times they would have vendors' tables. At the time, Bambaataa would sell VHS tapes on the tables where it would have universal meetings of the past. Some from Bronx River, some from the church, just some from various different events, some from past Zulu anniversaries. So you could buy a little VHS tape for $10 and watch like one or two meetings. That would be like about 3 hours long. So it was a way to preserve some of the meetings and just basically, catch up on some of the things you missed. And that was dope. I bought a lot of the VHS tapes. Also, he had a table full of books, thin pamphlets, printouts of various different lessons. Sometimes he had the tables with the Malachi Z. York books where you go up there and, Bam was like a Malachi Z. York fanatic at the time. And he would really push that and talk about right knowledge, right wisdom, and right understanding. Some of the brothers had that interest also in the Malachi Z. York books, and they were interesting reads. Made you question a lot of things, right? So then there would be tables where they would sell Zulu flags. And when we say a Zulu flag, we don't mean like a bandana. We mean like, usually like a leather piece, Africa medallion with the red, black, and green on. And sometimes they were plastic beads that said Zulu with the wisdom face. And that was taken from the Zulu Social Aid and Pleasure Club out in New Orleans. I believe at some point down the line, the Zulus from the Bronx crossed paths with these Zulus from the Social Aid and Pleasure Club. And the Zulus got like a lot of bundles of these beads that they used to throw out at the Mardi Gras to people that were celebrating the Mardi Gras. That's what the Zulu Social Aid and Pleasure Club would do, just toss these beads out. So, being the fact that it says Zulu, the Zulu Nation basically stole that from them and took it for ourselves, right? And then we wound up like adopting that coconut face that was on, it was pretty much like the face that you would see on a shield, right? Some people called it the coconut face at the time because it was like, that's what it resembled. And then the Zulu Nation wound up saying that that's the face of wisdom, the wisdom face. And they altered it a little bit. But a lot of Zulus at the time would wear those black plastic beads with that wisdom face on it. It would say Zulu on it. And that was something, to identify your allegiance to the universal Zulu Nation. Or like I said, you would have the leather piece. It was a leather continent of Africa cut out, and it was painted red, black, and green, and it would have a fist on it, and it would say Zulu Nation on it. And a lot of brothers that had that, it was like less brothers and sisters had that piece. So it was a little bit more prestigious. When you rock that, you know you had to be like somebody, important in the Zulu Nation, respected, because you had the official flag on of the Zulu Nation. And even back in the day, some chapters would have their logo inside that, like the aliens, from which was a famous chapter in the early '90s, mid '90s, and kind of died out in the late '90s. They had the alien on there, right, instead of the fist. So that was kind of fly because they had their own way of repping the Zulu Nation, And then sometimes you had the lion on your medallion, right? And that normally, if you had the lion on your Africa medallion, normally that was designated to identify you as a king in the organization. And if you were definitely a certified Zulu king, that medallion will have the black top. So instead of the red, black, and the green, it will be black, red, and green. The black top part of your medallion was painted black. So if you see a brother with the black top, you knew automatically off the jump he was a Zulu king. There wasn't no, King so-and-so let me rock his medallion. That's it. You were not allowed to rock that. If you weren't a king, you couldn't have that on. So, years later, I got mine with the black top. But that was a prestigious piece to have. So, we had all the vendors' tables at the universal meetings. And a lot of brothers and sisters would buy that stuff because, it was always something that you wanted to take home with you. You just didn't want to go to Harlem and not come back, and just come back empty-handed. You wanted to come back with something, whether it be a book about lessons, whether it be some brand new Zulu medallions, or, a VHS tape to bring home, do the knowledge on, build on it with the chapter. That was the goal, to always bring something back. And what we did bring back from those meetings was a strong message, a message of doing better. We wanted to take what we learned in Harlem and apply that to what we were doing out in Huntington Station, Long Island. It was important to us to be as authentic as possible. We didn't want to do our own thing. We wanted to replicate what Zulu Nation stood for in the Bronx and be as original as possible, but also have a connection that was great to what they were doing uptown Harlem and in the Bronx. So the first and last Wednesday of every month, we made it our business to go from Long Island, spend our little bit of money, take the Long Island Railroad, and then take the 2 or 3 train uptown and attend these meetings. At these meetings, we would have a panel of Zulu kings and Zulu queens from the World Council sit at a table that was designated for leadership. They would always be some of the wisest brothers and sisters that were in the organization. They spoke well. They were educated. That was the most of them. And then there were some that just had that juice, that power, that respect. And they had the charisma to captivate the crowd when they were speaking. So it was a variation of speakers where we would often just be kind of mind blown at the message that was given us. It was very relatable. Everything that was being spoken about, you could relate to it as a young brother or sister, because a lot of times it was geared as a message right towards us. A lot of the elder Zulus that were up there would probably be about 20 years older than us. So in some cases, they were about as old as our parents, which, made us respect them, I think, at that time, in that era, the youth, we were still generally respecting our elders. And in the Zulu Nation, you definitely had to respect your elders, because if you didn't respect your elders, you might go and get a universal beatdown. They might violate you if you really disrespected somebody. So that's part 4. Stay tuned for part 5 coming soon, y'all. And I apologize for being raw and uncut, but that's how we do. Peace and respect.